Hello, dear. It's Heather, and you're watching Save Today with Heather J. I'm somebody who has spent her entire adult life living paycheck to paycheck and being one life event away from financial crisis. I created this budget and this channel as a way to create a brighter financial future than my financial past has been. At points in time, it's been very scary. Living paycheck to paycheck, really, when those life events come and you're just not sure how you're going to get through, it's terrifying. I don't want to have that terror anymore. I don't want to be scared when the doorbell rings thinking there's a debt collector out there. I don't want to be scared when the phone rings because it's a debt collector calling to get some money. I want a better, brighter financial future. I want to get out of debt. I want to stop living with the fear that being in debt creates. I have some high ticket items I'd like to buy. I have some things I want to have. And I'd like to set aside some money and have some savings and be prepared for the things that come. I want to be prepared for a car repair bill. I want to be prepared for all of the things that happen. I just want to be ready and caught up and ahead and stable. I just want to be stable. So I've created this channel and I'm trying to make some changes. I'm not a professional. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not a how-to. This is just some old lady trying to make her way and trying to finally get it together. Today's video is going to be my September monthly closeout. When I start each month, I estimate, I set up an estimate of what I think the month is going to look like. And then we've got to go back and see how that carried out and make adjustments for the next month. Did I get everything paid or do I need to roll something over? Did I give myself enough money for groceries and transportation, or do I need to figure that out? So that's what we're doing. We're going to close out the month of September, see how what we did compared to what we thought we were going to do before we can roll into October and see what October is going to look like. I get paid every other Friday. My rent is due on the first of the month, and that's auto drawn. So my first of the month is whatever paycheck covers the first of the month. So for me, the month of September started in August 25th, and for me, the month of September ends September 21st. My October starts September 22nd. So my budgeting months do not actually line up with the calendar months, but I still call it September, and I'm going to call that one October, even though it starts in September. Again, because that's the paycheck that I will have to use to pay that month's rent. So when I set up my budgets, I have to create an estimate based on my dollars per hour, because I'm an hourly, not salaried employee, and the number of weeks in that pay period and what I estimate my hours are going to be, and then I take out taxes. In my company, anywhere from 32 to 40 hours is considered full-time. There have been points in my work history with them that I have been barely 32 hours. And there have been times that I've been 40 hours and I have to make sure that I leave early on my last day so I'm not going over 40 hours. I'm very lucky that at this point in time, I'm really pushing that 39 to 40 hour week. And so when I create my estimates right now, I'm estimating 38 hours a week. My month of September is a 4-week pay period. I get $20.85 an hour. I take out 25% for my taxes and my medical. So when I set up my estimate, I estimated I was going to be bringing home $2,376.90. I did actually bring home $2,437.39, which was $60.49 more than I had estimated I would be bringing home. I do have another line in my income. I don't have a second job. I don't get child support. I don't have investments or annuities. So most frequently this other line will be zero. This month I did have an estimate of $350. This was money I knew my son was going to be giving me for money that left my budget the month previous. I did actually receive $591, which was $150.91 more than I thought I was going to. And this is, again, I had given out that $350 and that came back at $347 and change because Cash App takes a service fee out when they deposit it into my bank. And then I had sent $115 out, which will show up later, and that came back at $112.99 to me. And then I requested some extra money so that I could go to a festival, and my son sent me $44 and change to go just in case I wanted to buy something and did not. So those three things, they're all where he has Cash Apped into me funds, and so that's what shows up there. $591 came into my account this month, which was $151.91 more than I had estimated. This is my first month where I am putting those funds in there, and this is the first month where I'm putting an other line in my bills that's most likely going to have a zero as a way to address that. In June and July I had a lot of periods where money was leaving my account to come back in later, and then leaving my account to come back in later. And while I knew what was going on in my head, it was very difficult to show that here, and I wanted to create a way to show that going forward. So that's what that is. It wasn't really extra income. It was just us doing a financial house share situation, and how that came out. So for my income estimate, I had estimated $2,726.90. I actually received $2,938.30, which was $211.40 more than I had initially estimated. The next thing I go over is my fixed expenses, which are the bills, the things I'm required to pay whether I like it or not. And most of the time I don't like it, but I still have to do it. So in my fixed expenses, my rent, again, that comes out on the 1st as an auto draw. That was $853. It's $850 for rent, $3 for the auto draw. Unfortunately, I did not have the full $850 in this account because on paycheck number 1, I had a missed punch where I did not sign in from lunch on one of my shifts, so my check was short by 4.5 hours, and that was the account that my rent is drawn out of. I did end up having to go get 2 money orders, all of the funds that were in this account and then some funds from my other account to cover that. So 2 money orders for $2 a piece. Actually, one was $3, $2.90, and the other was $2. Thankfully, I did not get a bounced check charge from that not clearing, and thankfully I did not get a late fee because I was able to get those money orders put in the drop box, honestly, at the very last second. How I didn't get those fees is beyond me, but I'm thankful and I'm going to take it. So I did actually spend $854.90 on my rent. Was $1.90 more than I had thought that was going to be. Again, that's the 2 money order fees that I ended up having to get paid for that. My utilities I had estimated at $306.62. I thought I was all caught up in my utilities, and I was wrong. I had missed my June utilities. So when I was creating this estimate for September, I took what I owed in June and doubled that, and just so that I would be June and September would be the same. And it was a little bit more for what I owed in September. So I estimated $306.62. What I did end up paying was $333.25, which was $26.63 more than I had initially thought. I am now 100% caught up on my utilities. I'm no longer rolling last month into next month. I'm completely 100% at zero as we have this conversation, knowing that my next utility bill will be coming, but I'm at zero right now. So the phone bill was estimated to be $455.37 this month. Again, I was playing a game of robbing Peter to pay Paul that started in June, waterfalled until we got to September. I owed August's phone bill and September's phone bill in this month of September, and I did get both of those paid. My phone bill is significantly higher than a lot of people pay. I do have 2 phone lines, I have a tablet, and I have the internet on my phone line. I did have 2 insurances, and then I have financing fees on one of the phones and on the tablet. The financing fee on one phone did finally drop off. This was the last month that it needed to be paid, and that won't be going on going forward. So I canceled the insurance on the one phone and the tablet, and then I set up auto pay, and my next month's bill will be going less. It's still going to be significantly higher than a lot of people pay, and at this time I'm not looking to change providers, but that is something that I will begin to be exploring going forward. But as of me speaking to you here in September, I don't have immediate plans for that at this time. So my estimate was $455.37. My actual was $453.70, and so I did save myself $1.67, which was that one last financing fee on the one phone. My credit card, I had estimated $200 for that credit card. $200 is what came out. There was no difference there. I have a subscription for $10.82. That's exactly what came out, so no difference. And this old rent for $73.60. Again, I continue to call it old rent, and I continue to explain that it's not actually rent. This is when I moved out of the last place, the cleaning and repair fees that they managed to charge me for, a total of $709, which is being divided into 10 payments of $794. And then I have a $2 money order fee and a 66-cent stamp that goes on that. So that's what that $73.60 was estimated. That is what I paid. There was no difference there. Now as I'm looking into October, November, December, am beginning to explore the possibility of getting this rent paid at a higher rate, at a faster time frame than what I currently have set up. But I didn't do that yet in September. There wasn't the funds for that, and I'm not really sure. I don't think that that's going to happen in October. We'll have to see how the month actually plays out, but that might be budgeted into November to get that caught up. Again, I have a large ticket item I'd like to have in February or March. I'd like to be able to make a way to get that in February or March. And part of that is going to make sure that I don't have these payments that are just draining me. So we're looking at that as we go forward. But as far as this budget goes, $73.60 is what I paid. And then I have the toll roads. Now those toll roads are an old bill that started out very small. I got deep in my feelings and chose to ignore it. Got really angry that I was being charged this fee without knowing it was coming. And what originally I came to find out was $38.85 became a bill for $198.85. And I'm just going to sit there for a moment and let you absorb that, because I need to sit there and I need to absorb that to remind myself to get out of my feelings and pay the stinking bills. $38.85 became $198.85 because I didn't take care of it like I should have. Ultimately, they were able to write off some of the service fees I was charged on that, so I paid $133.85, which was $65 less than my initial estimate was, which is great. I am likely going to be getting an additional $35 back from that in 6 months if I don't use the toll road account that we had to set up. If I don't get that $35 back, that's fine. I've saved myself the $65, but I'm pretty sure I'll end up getting that back. And that's a weird system that they have set up, but I guess most people don't move out of the state quite as quickly as I did, and most people would benefit from having that as an option for them. I do have this other line I've just started to add here in September, and I did send $115 out of my account. That's part of this additional that came back in. And that was because one of my granddaughters is now on the swim team, and this was a last minute thing that happened, and 3 days later was going to need whatever those sign-up fees and uniform fees and all of that stuff is. And so that left my account briefly and came back in 4 days later. So that was $115 that wasn't originally budgeted for. So my total estimate, I estimated $2,098.26 in fixed expenses. My actual was $175.12, which was $76.86 more than I initially thought it was going to be. Then we go into my flexible spending, and what did I spend there? For me, when I'm tracking flexible spending, this is groceries, dining out, transportation, art, and miscellaneous. And they're listed in that order because that's the order of importance to me. And so I give myself a consistent amount in each category for the entire 4 weeks. I've said several months in a row now that that's not really realistic. So I haven't figured out how I can give myself less in the beginning of the month and more at the end of the month. But I'm continuing to play with getting a balance for that. But for right now, it was set up to be $140 a week. Over that 4 weeks would be $560 that I estimated. I did actually spend $534.53, which was $25.47 less than I had initially thought I was going to. I'm going to hold this $140 for now. I feel like that's pretty realistic. Honestly, I probably could bump that up to $150 to give myself a little more flexibility to get a little bit more meat in the freezer, or get some higher quality packaged foods than what I've been getting. You know, if you can get the $1 rice packets, or you can get the $4.85 rice packets. You can get the ragu spaghetti sauce, or you can get Newton's, you know, where I can get something that's a slightly better quality product that costs a little bit more than the absolute bargain basement I've been getting. But for right now, $140 a week did very, very well for me in September, and is realistic to expect that to go forward into October. Dining out, you guys, I gave myself $0 in this budget, and I actually went an entire 4 weeks in this month with no dining out spending. And I actually went the last 2 weeks of August also with no dining out spending. So I've gone six weeks without eating. Well, not without eating. I've definitely eaten in 6 weeks, but I haven't dined out. I haven't spent any of my money to go get any kind of dining out. And I don't know how I can like highlight this any more physically on there. I guess I don't. I just get to highlight it with my words because that is thrilling. I am now, I'm going to try and see how long I can go. At this point, I've gone 6 solid weeks. I'm going to see how far can I go before I dine out. I don't know what I'm going to do about an estimate for next month. But for right now, I went an entire month. I went 6 solid weeks, but on this page, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So happy. Transportation, I estimated one full fill up a week for $160. I did spend $101.63, which was $58.37 less than I thought I was going to spend. I'm going to go ahead and cut that back a little bit as we get into October and November. My art, I estimated 0. I spent 0. That's awesome. My miscellaneous, I estimated 0. But I did end up spending $101.87, so that's an overspend in that category. None of these things were anything I had any real control over. It is what happened. I'm not upset that that's red. I'd like to not have these extra life events that come up, but it's fine. They were adapted to. So my total estimate was $720. My actual was $738.03, which has me over budget by $18.03. I'm not mad at this $18.03 at all. This is such a close number that this is completely acceptable to me. This is great. Then we go down and look at my ending balance and see how that looks for us. My estimate was $2,726.90. My actual was $2,938.30, which was $211.40 more than I thought I was going to be bringing in this month. My fixed expenses were estimated to be $2,098.26. They were actually $2,175.12, which was $76.86 more than I had thought I was going to be paying in fixed expenses. Again, I'm not mad at that. Things got paid. I'm completely caught up and I'm at zero balance, and it's just my normal going forward now. My flexible spending, I had estimated $720 for the month. I actually spent $738.03, which again was $18.03 more than I had thought I was going to spend in my flexible spending. Again, not upset at that. That's such a minimal number. It's completely adaptable. What does that make my final total? I had initially written this budget thinking I had spending $91.36 more than I actually had. Turns out I do end up having $25.15 left, which was $116.51. I don't know if that says 51 or 59 cents more than I thought I was going to have. So that is incredible that I still have $25.15 left in my account to carry out the next, just to get me started on the next month. I actually, if you recall, when I started this month, one account had 40 cents left in it and the other account had 96 cents left in it. So if you take that $1.36 and add it to this $25.15, that's really what I have in my account, whatever that is, 26, I don't know, 42 or something like that. So I do have a little bit, and that gets to carry over and get me started on a positive note in October. So that is what is next. That is it for my month of September. As far as budgeting goes, that is it for this video. We will in a moment discuss a little bit more project related in the background, but as far as future videos coming out, what you have to look forward to, I will have my month in review where we go over all of the positives, and there were a lot of positives this month. Outside of the dining out, which I can't quit talking about because I'm so thrilled about that, there were other fantastic positives that happened, and we will spend one video kind of looking back at what happened for us in September and how great that looks, and moving forward into a more positive light. Because I find budgeting to be so incredibly discouraging, you know, I want everything on that budget to be green and by like hundreds of dollars, right? Don't we all just want buckets of money to play with? I find it very discouraging to go week after week, month after month, and just never have any money to go have fun with. I wanted to go to the Apple Festival, and I didn't have enough money in my budget to know I could go buy myself a meal or pick up some sort of trinket or souvenir or whatever you want to get when you go to a festival. I had to ask my son, who I live with, if he could give me money to go spend with that. And of course he's willing to do that. I give him money, he gives me money. This is what we do. This is what family does. It's a back and forth share, and it's fine. But the fact is, I didn't have enough to go have fun, and I find that discouraging. So I need my positive video to look forward to the positive. So we have that coming up and what the good looks like in September. And then we have my October setup. As we get moving into what October looks like, we're going to set up that budget and see, now that I am fully caught up with all the things I was behind on, how are we going to move forward from here? So that's what's coming up. So if all you're here for is the budgeting, I thank you, and I'll talk to you next time. For those of you who are interested in the craft stuff, again, I am completely done and have been completely done with this project in the background. I have nothing more to say about this, but my last video, I did talk about my my scrap system. And so, you know, I was going to put all those things in my scrap system. I wanted to pull out my scrap system and show you what that looks like. Because I don't like to throw those bits and pieces away, had been saving all of the projects from my supplies in Ziploc bags like this. And these Ziploc bags were building up and building up. I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't know how to handle them. And they were getting to be a bit much. But I don't have a lot of scraps in comparison to other quilters. I do more than quilting now, but at that time, quilting was very much my focus. It still is. But when I talk about having scraps and I pull out these little bags, people kind of chuckle at me. I found a book called Cut the Scraps from a woman named Joan Ford. The book it says Scrap Therapy and then Cut the Scraps, and Joan Ford is the author. She does have a blog, I believe, called Hummingbird Highway. Anyway, I don't have that book on me. It's still packed in a box somewhere. I haven't dealt with my books at all yet. But if you're interested in what she has to say, it's Cut the Scraps. By now, you can get it in the used book market. But this bin here is my scraps using her scrap therapy technique. And her scrap therapy is just a series of squares. She has 2.5 inch, 3 inch, and 5 inch squares that she cuts all of her scraps up into. And so in this bin, I have some more of these Ziploc bags that need to be dealt with. And when we get out from underneath all these Ziploc bags, we see this is her scrap system, and this is where my scraps are. These are my 5 inch, my 3 inch, and my 2.5 inch squares. And then these are what are cut offs from previous twisters. You know, I showed you that fun net and said I'm going to save those squares. That's what these are from, these 1.5 inch squares. And these will make what's called a postage stamp quilt, where the squares are only 1 inch once they're all sewn together. It's 1 million of them to get anything of any length, and it's a very heavy quilt. But that's what these are, these 1 inch squares. They're only released, so they're kept for that. Her system deals only with squares and doesn't at all deal with any of these triangles. And so initially, I threw all my triangles away. It hurts me to say that out loud. And as soon as I threw them away, I knew that was a mistake, and I needed to save them and find a way to use them that is different than what her system is. So you see I have a bag here of all triangles. I haven't trimmed those down to any usable sizes, but look at how much this is. I can't just throw that away. It's completely usable and can become a thing. So I am once again building up some baggies of scraps that I'm going to need to cut into my system. So it's going to be time to go through and do that again. But now once they're in my system, then what happens? Eventually this bin gets full, right? It hasn't yet for me, because I do go through periodically and pull some things out. Let me just get these out of here. And so I go through and I pull out a colorway and I find some things. And so here is the beginnings of one that I started using this. I have this grid marked adhesive fabric that these get ironed to, and then they just get sewn together. And then these individual squares will get cut apart. There will be more squares and it will get bigger and bigger. But I just go through and I find a colorway. In this case, it was the green and blue. And I just find all of them that I can, and I make something with it. Again, this is the third one I have started. I have a red and yellow colorway and a pink and purple colorway. So those I go through and I periodically pick those out. I start with my smaller squares. I find the next larger squares and the next larger squares. And ultimately, I end up going to buy a little bit more fabric, of course, to fill that out. But that is what happens with those scraps, so I don't have to throw them away. This is something that keeps me from having to toss that into the bin. There's far too much waste in our textile industry. It bothered me long before I knew how much waste really was in that industry. So that is what I do for those of you who are looking for a new system and a new way to store your stuff and might be interested. Again, Scrap Therapy by Joan Ford, and look up her blog. Maybe do a search on Hummingbird Highway. She's got a lot of really neat ideas, and at this point she's got 2 or 3 more books out. And that is really all I have to say about the craft portion of today of the project, because again, this project has been done for about a week now, and there isn't a whole lot left to say about that. I've got the one more video, and then this gets to be hung up on the wall. I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, wherever you are, and whatever you're doing, go have some fun. Okay? Bye-bye now.